Hello and welcome to T.I.P.S, Teaching in Parenting Skills, Video 2, brought to you by the Newburgh Free Library. My name is Sarah Scoggin and I'm the Early Childhood Librarian at the Newburgh Free Library, Newburgh, New York. Today I'm going to present some parenting tips in the form of a story. Let's say there's a stay-at-home mom with a daughter Karen, age 5, Sandra, age 3, and Franklin, age 9 months. And she's going to use resources throughout her day from the Newburgh Free Library parenting section. So if you're interested in any of the books you see in this presentation, you can order them through curbside pickup. There'll be a link in the description. It's early morning in the girls' room, and the mom pulls out 50 Fantastic Things to Do with Toddlers by Sally and Phil Featherstone. And she decides to try A Sight for a Song, which is an activity of singing whatever it is you see. So let's say it's sunny outside, you could sing, "The sun is shining in the window." Or if their teddy bear fell on the floor, "Mr. Ted Todd Bear fell out of bed today." Because singing is a great activity for stimulating the brain, especially little ones waking up, wiping out the cobwebs. And if you don't feel comfortable making up your own song, you could just have a rotation of songs that you sing in the morning. Okay, it's a little later in the morning, and everyone's up and dressed, and they're in the kitchen for breakfast. And Mom pulls out Top 100 Finger Foods, 100 Recipes for a Healthy, Happy Child by Annabelle Carmel. And they make Welsh rabbits. You see in the picture there, we have a whole wheat tortilla covered with cheese, toasted, and then they use vegetables to make it look like a rabbit. At the park, the mom pulls out Move, Play, and Learn with Smart Steps by Gil Connell. And what I love about this book is that it has all different kinds of physical development stages, different areas. So you could be working on balance or body awareness or flexibility, all different physical aspects. And there'll be an activity, for example, a balancing activity, and it will show you how to do that with babies, toddlers, and children up to about 7 years old. So if you have children multiple ages, you can all work on the same skill, but with different activities. And after the balancing games, they're still at the park. You could try A Little Bit of Dirt, 55 plus science and art activities to reconnect children with nature by Asia Citro. And so the family decides to make some leaf crowns, making great memories and also learning a little bit about science in the meantime. And Asia Citro is also the author of 150 plus screen-free activities for kids. Now they're back home. It's around noon and they're in the kitchen with Recipes for Play by Rachel Sumner and Ruth Mitchner. So they decide to use the recipe for homemade Play-Doh with a different taste-safe version for Franklin, the 9-month-old. And so then the children can play with their Play-Doh while the mom makes lunch. After lunch, it's quiet time for the kindergartner and nap time for the 3-year-old and the 9-month-old. But let's say the 3-year-old is having trouble keeping on a nap schedule. So the mom turns to the No Cry Sleep Solution for Toddlers and Preschoolers by Elizabeth Pantley to make a sleep plan that fits her child's needs to make sure she gets enough sleep. After nap time, it's fun time in the family room with Games for Reading, Playful Ways to Help Your Child Read by Peggy K. And they decided to try the Where's the Sound game with raisins. So you get 3 cups and you label them beginning, middle, and end. And then you say a word. Let's say you say the word warm. And you say, where is the W sound? Where's the W sound? And so if it's the beginning of the word, they put it in the cup over there on the left, the one that says beginning. And so on. So you try different words. It might be a word like tent, and you ask where's the T sound, and they actually put 2 raisins in the first and the last because they hear the sound twice. And if they're correct which cup they put the raisins in, they get to eat those raisins. And this could be adapted slightly if the child isn't quite up to hearing that. You can adjust it to just um, say which sound is it and label the cups with different letters. After that game, it's time to go to the Learning Nook, which they learned how to set up in Playful Learning, Develop Your Child's Sense of Joy and Wonder by Mariah Bruel. This is a book with different activities for reading, writing, math, science, and social skills for children 4 to 8. But I particularly like their chapter on setting up different nooks. So an art nook where art materials are always available. It could be science, it could be a reading nook, it could just be an exploring area where there's different baskets of materials, uh, bits and pieces, blocks, whatever it is that suits your children, so that they can just be free to explore and create at their level. Now it's evening time. The dad comes home. It's time to make supper, and they pull out Adventures in Veggie Land. Help your kids learn to love vegetables with 101 easy activities and recipes by Melanie Potok. So let's say they're having beets. They talk about what a beet is. They talk about bright red color, how it grows under the ground, um, all different things about the beets. And then they chop them and they leave a bit of a beet on the tops. And they cut that into a shape so it kind of sticks out like a stamp. So while the rest of the beets are being cooked for dinner, the children can stamp, maybe on like a back of their hand, they could stamp a star or they could stamp on paper, um, and it just gets them more engaged and more likely to eat the beets if they see that they were involved in cooking them and learning about them. Now everyone sits down to dinner, and it's time for the I Spy Good Manners game from Teaching Your Child Good Manners, a Go Parents Guide by Lori Birkenkamp. And the I Spy Good Manners game is where any member of the family can spy a different family member using good manners. So maybe a child's learning to feed him or herself, and they get caught doing good by using their fork and not their fingers, or by asking for something politely, or passing something very nicely, whatever that is. And the person using the good manners and the person catching the good manners each gets a point. When you get to 10 points, there's some small reward. Maybe they get to pick what the next topic of conversation is, or they get an extra half a dinner roll. So whatever it is, that is the reward for um, catching people being good. And you can make up silly situations, like what would be the polite thing to do if something silly happened. When dinner is over, it's time for baby Franklin to have a bath. And you can see there on the cover of Parent Hacks by Asha Dornfest, the idea of putting a baby that's sort of outgrown a baby bathtub into a laundry basket placed in a larger bathtub to sort of contain the toys and help the baby sit up. They could also use Parent Hack number 47, which is take an old pair of mittens or sort of heavy socks and make bath mitts, so you can hold on to a slippery baby and wash the baby at the same time. Now it's time for bed, and while mom is rocking baby Franklin to sleep, the dad comes into the girls' room with Bedtime Math, a fun excuse to stay up late by Laura Overdeck. And this is not a storybook you read cover to cover. Each night you read the next little story. It's just a short little vignette of a silly, crazy scenario where you have to use math to solve a riddle or a puzzle. And there are 3 levels of difficulty. So the very simple ones are basically counting or adding very simple numbers so that the younger children can participate. And then there's harder levels about the same topic. So maybe it's roller coasters tonight. And one might be, if there are 3 loop-de-loops and 2 giant drops, how many chances do you have to scream? What if you rode the ride twice? So just a wacky way to get in a little math practice. And finally, something not from a book is that these particular parents like to say a poem to each of their children that they wrote specifically for them because well, there's so many different ideas for crafts and games and activities and brain builders, but the most important thing is that the children can feel your unique love through whatever you decide will be your end of the day tradition. So thank you so much for watching. We hope we see you again next time.